see me. And chill out. Chill out. Be a chill boy. Be a barky boy. No need to be a barky barky. Nobody wants a barky barky. Good-eye, mate. Good-eye. Bones a die, ain't it, mate? Aye. Hello. Good morning. Howdy, howdy, rowdy, rowdy. Dude, as soon as I do, look at this. Highdeologies literally bring out the sun. Sun hasn't hit the ground yet today because of the cloudiness. I start Highdeology. Lactos Dominus. Dude, I gotta get me a Truth Social account, bro. This is gonna be the next biggest thing, dude. It's gonna be the next Twitter mixed with the next TikTok mixed with the next Facebook. Truth Social, dude. It's gotta be. We all gotta sign up. Truth Social, dude. We'll see how it works out. All right, crows. So it might actually snow here on Wednesday. Think about that. Video is crazy out of sync with the audio on my end for some reason. I can try and fix it. Is that happening to anybody else? Are my lips moving at the same time as my speech? Refresh it. Refresh your situation. You are the first one in here. Maybe you got glitched out. Yeah, YouTube is a weird duck sometimes, especially with this like live streaming thing. I really don't think they ever set it up quite properly, so it's a little weird. It's a little funky, but it works. Oh. Isn't today a holiday or something? Is it? I don't know. I don't celebrate holidays typically, so I don't know. What is it? What is today? Magic Monday? Oh, it's President's Day. Got it. Yeah, that is a day that strangely, like, people will get off. I honestly don't even know what the excuse is to get President's Day off. But yeah, it was always one of those days off that would sneak up on me when I was working. I never got it off at Starbucks, but when I was working at the school district, there was a couple of times over the years where I like showed up at work and the whole place was closed down. I was like, oh, it's President's Day. That's right. I'm not even supposed to be awake, let alone like at work. banker holiday. Yeah, pretty much. Bankers, doctors, government officials, they all get to take today off. Everybody else has to work, though. Should have TJ give me overtime. TJ doesn't dole out the money. So, yeah, if anybody gave me overtime, it would be me. Today is family day. Oh, okay. Cool. Yay! Family day. Yippee skippy hooray. Yeah, they canceled all those fun holidays. The drunk, rowdy holidays. Now everything is all sterile and homogenized. Garden Gnome Appreciation Day. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Does Scotty get hazard pay for being in TJ's presence, or more aptly, TJ's britches? Yeah. Could be wrong, but I think this year is a leap as well. A leap year as well. Oh. Wow, this is a boring conversation. President's Day. I think it might be a leap year. I guess it's my fault. I am kind of the ringleader here. But I'm also not feeling super feisty today either. Feisty typically drives a lot of these. I think so, yeah. It's the vampire hunter day. Well, it won't take a leap to know TJ shed his britches. That's true. That is true. He did shit them britches. And everybody knows it, too. Everybody knows he shit his britches. Everybody knows it smelled real bad. That's how it goes. Everybody knows. You can sing a song on the charity stream, Paul. Huh? What is your favorite thing about Scotty and TJ, respectively? My favorite thing about them. D, why are you doing this? Come here. Come here. You lay down and be quiet, or you're going inside. And that's it. You lay down and be quiet. You're gonna have to get over it. Make friends with the doggy over there. Or be quiet. You made friends with the doggy over there. You don't bark at that doggy anymore. Now make friends with this one. Or hush. My favorite thing about each of them. I don't know. I like both the guys. Obviously, they're my close friends. I don't know what my exact favorite thing about each of them is, though. I'd really have to think about that. You know me and favorites. I'm not a big favorite guy. I don't really conduct myself in the world of favorites, but I'm sure that there's something that sticks out about each of them. I just have to think about it. Like, sticks out more than the rest, you know. Both of them have a really interesting sense of humor. It makes me laugh a lot. You know, to be honest with you, it's pretty hard to get me to laugh. It's a pretty rare person that hits on the right cylinders to get me to laugh. So both of them are able to do that. That's pretty special in my book. I'm not a very laughy guy. Well, yeah, that brotherly thing has always been interesting to me because I never had a brother, and so I never like that kind of spirit of competition or whatever that's kind of like existent in brothers. I never had that. I had a bunch of sisters, and so seeing two grown ass men who are brothers still, and I'm not saying like, dude, I think every brother does this. I'm just saying like two grown ass men still engaged in kind of like sophomoric one-upsmanship against their brother, like that. I don't know. It just seems so fun to me. It seems like a part of my life that I missed out on. Having that kind of like good-natured rivalry or whatever. Definitely, I would imagine it shapes a person pretty profoundly, like in your upbringing and stuff, and into your adulthood. And so that's an interesting aspect of the guys. I've never really been around brothers a whole lot, to be honest with you. A lot of my friends uh, didn't have brothers, and the ones that did had like little brothers that we never hung out with, so I never really got to see much of the dynamic, you know. All it takes is farts and poop to make you laugh. No, that's not true. It's got to be a specific type. There's got to be a little bit of thought behind it. You can't just go like fart, poop. Okay, sometimes. Maybe you can't. Hold on. You can't just say fart, poop to me, okay, and get me to laugh. I made myself by saying it, but that doesn't mean that you can. Okay? A little more sophisticated than that. TJ definitely messes his britches. Also, he hasn't sent me the missing. Oh my god. Oh my god, TJ. Well, yesterday was his birthday, so that probably explains it. I'll try and reach out to him today. Figure out what the fuck is going on. What the fuck happened to Alien? Maybe I'll just write that video. How about a shark? How about it? I might be able to just send it to you, close off. Like honestly, I might be able to. Do you have a Twitter? I might be able to just send you the shit. If you have a Twitter and you can grab it from YouTube, I know where it's uploaded, like the original file or whatever. Haha, close off. Oh, you got it. All right, well, do me a favor. Send me a DM on Twitter right now, and when I'm done with this, I will try and remember to go check. And maybe I'll even send a reminder on my phone, and then I'll see if I can track down where I uploaded that, and I'll just send you a link to the full version, like the full audio version or whatever. That's got the whole thing on it. Because where did you say that it leaves off? It leaves off at Covenant. I think that's the end, though, isn't it? Kind of. I'll have to look at it. But whatever, I have the whole audio file. I can upload it again if I need to. So yeah. In fact, hang there and let me just set a reminder on my phone so that if I forget, it stops during Prometheus. Okay. Yeah. That's not okay. So you guys hold on for a second. I'll set a reminder on my phone. Got it. Cool beans. Easy peasy. So, yeah, like 3 p.m. my time today. If I forget after this, an alarm will go off reminding me to check on that for you. So you go ahead and send me a thank you for working on it. And I'm sorry that, you know how it is. Sorry that we've been incommunicado on it. So we'll get you that. And appreciate your work on it. Cool beans. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. The proliferation of life is a natural process stemming from the fundamental forces of physics. Does that mean that life forming was inevitable? Inevitable. I would say, yeah, maybe, depending on the conditions on the planet, right? Obviously, every planet is not suitable for biological life as we understand it. That doesn't mean that there aren't forms of biological life that we have not yet predicted or discovered, and that we might find life like vastly more abundant in the universe than we assume it is. When I was a kid, they would teach, and I'm not saying that they were like misleading, but the what I was taught, when in school when they would talk about these sorts of things was that life was like this insanely rare thing, and that if it happened in the rest of the universe, it basically had to be a world like ours, and that idea has driven astronomers to develop ways to find Earth-like planets. And that makes sense. Predictively, if you've got a planet that has similar conditions to ours, and those conditions brought about the chemical compositions that we know as life, then it makes sense that Earth-like planets would be a good place to look for that. But I think that more recently, scientists have started to open up to the fact that there could be life on planets where we think it's completely inhospitable. Like it may not need this very set series of circumstances like we have here on the Earth to, you know, develop multicellular life or whatever. So it's interesting. Life may be way more abundant in the universe than we're being led to believe. And when I say life, I don't mean intelligent life, right? You're absolutely right. Life doesn't need to be carbon based. Um, you know, people have posited all kinds of different types of life. I think that what we would call life is probably way more abundant than we give it credit for, but that, intelligent life is still relatively rare given the number of planets that there are. But I just don't see any possibility that there isn't intelligent life somewhere else. In fact, I'm a person that errs towards the side of there's probably, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of civilizations in the universe at a different levels of technological advancement. They might look nothing like us, sound like nothing like us, operate nothing like us. In fact, that's probably true. But I think it's pretty abundant in the universe. It's an interesting thing to think about. Some speculate that after the Big Bang, the universe expands until it can't anymore, then collapses on itself and repeats the exact same scenario, like an Ouroboros time loop. Yeah. The Great Crunch, they call that. So, um, there are scientists that theorize that the Big Bang has happened an infinite number of times, that is the nature of reality, is this expansion and contraction. So once the energy from the Big Bang is fully expended, which it appears it isn't quite yet, because scientists expected to look at the edges of the universe and see the expansion of space slowing down, and they actually saw it speeding up still. So there's a good chance that, we just fundamentally misunderstand the nature of the explosion, and that it was so big that it's going to take another million, 2 million, billion years for it to start slowing down and then start contracting under the force of its own gravitational pull. Yeah, it's actually gaining speed. Quantum, or not quantum redshift, but it's called something redshift. Well, we're not quite, like, as far as I understand it, Juwan, we're very good at identifying planets now. We've become very good at, like, taking a look at planets, noticing the particular characteristics that make up a gas giant or an Earth-like planet or a rocky body or an icy body or whatever. Um, Hello, Mr. Naughty Priest. Thank you. But yeah, I think we're right on the cusp of that. There's a telescope that is supposed to go up soon. That is supposed to outstrip the Hubble in a number of ways. I can't remember the name of this telescope. But it is supposed to be a telescope that we could theoretically identify life on a hugely distant planet by the lights, the James Webb. Yeah. Like, so that telescope, once it's functional and operating, might be able to actually see the artificial light that is created by an advanced civilization. Like, you know how from space we can see the lights of our cities on the dark side of the planet and stuff. Well, this telescope is apparently sensitive enough to be able to see things like that. And so I remember watching a video talking about how the James Webb could, you know, there's this theorized technology called a Dyson sphere, right? Where it's theorized that at an advanced level of technology, a species could create kind of an energy collection cradle that sort of encases a star and thus provide itself with virtually unlimited energy. And if such a structure exists, this telescope could be powerful enough to see them. So that's kind of cool. So if there is some kind of alien species, you know, 20 million light years away or whatever the fuck, we might be able to see their giant space structures and shit. It'd be pretty cool. But up until now, it's my understanding that we really haven't had a telescope that's capable of seeing that little bit of light, you know, making out those details. And the James Webb is going to change that. So that's cool. It's very cool. Very interesting. Here, the permafrost at the poles is thawing. Ancient bacteria and viruses have become active again as if they were never frozen. Yeah. This is another thing that we've got to worry about. You know, like, as if we don't have enough, but this is another thing that climate change is going to bring about. Which is, you know, this planet has gone through several cycles of freeze and thaw. Ice ages, as they're called. And, you know, animals get trapped in that permafrost. And a virus gets trapped in that permafrost. And this is a virus that hasn't existed on the Earth, that just stopped existing because, you know, the population of the Earth that it could infect dropped so absolutely low that it just had no hosts, and so it just died off. But there are preserved examples of that virus deep in the permafrost, frozen into the bodies of animals and plants, and so, and bacteria as well. And these are, you know, creatures that have been out of the loop for so long that any natural immunity that we would have to them is gone. And so, you know, it could very well unleash just a really nasty bug on the world. ice-free 2.6 million years ago. Yeah, right. So there might be some just nasty virus. Get those samples to Wuhan, yeah. Keep them secure. I mean, that whole thing is like, to me, it's not even a discussion anymore. This thing came out of a lab. It's just, there's too much ridiculous coincidence involved. Like, it would be like if there was like a giant turd processing factory in the middle of a town, and then like a mile away, you found a big old juicy turd. You know what I mean? Just laying there. You got a good idea where that turd may have come from. You know what I mean? There's a turd factory like less than a mile from here. So. Wuhan. All I wonder is how accidental the release was. Yeah, I mean, who knows? That's where you get kind of into the. A lot of people think it's a conspiracy theory that this thing jumped out of a lab at all, but whatever. I don't know that we'll ever get the truth about it, but the fact that it happened like a mile and a half from a facility that was known to be storing and studying and doing gain of function study on SARS and COVID. I believe in coincidences and stuff, but some coincidences strain credulity, let's put it that way. And this is one of them. Didn't that happen in a movie? A movie. I mean, there was that movie Outbreak where like a monkey was taken from Africa to be a pet and brought to the United States, and it had some kind of super Ebola or whatever. I remember that. Wuhan got you all in check. Resident Evil. Yeah, that is the plot of Resident Evil, isn't it? God, they've made so many movies about this shit. I remember like right at the beginning of the pandemic, and this was like an eerie like thing, just like an eerie little echo of our mass consciousness. I remember when the pandemic first jumped off and the lockdowns happened. Amelia and I would sit down in front of the TV and scroll through Netflix or whatever, and all of the trending stuff, like all of the most popular on Netflix, most popular on HBO Max, it was all these movies like Outbreak, Contagion, Virus, like all of these like apocalyptic viral movies. It was just like, wait a minute, dude. So wait a minute, we're in the midst of this scary scenario where this is kind of happening. And either human beings are seeking this stuff out to the point where it's pushing it up the ladder, or these streaming companies are showing it to us, like making sure that it gets there. Either way, it's such a weird little blip on the cultural radar that I don't think anybody ever talked about. But I swear to God, man, every last streaming service, and we'd have a ton of them, but we 2 or 3, Netflix and Amazon Prime, all of them, all of them were like recommending these virus videos, viral outbreak, viral death, zombie virus, and T virus, and this, that, and the other. Yeah, dude, we were skipping around it. It was like, dude, I'm not trying to watch that. And it was weird to me because we were so immediately turned off by the idea of sitting there at the very beginning of a pandemic and watching like outbreak or whatever. Like we were already so inundated with news about COVID and shit that like the idea of sitting down and using our leisure time to watch a movie about it was just like beyond the pale. But you know, if those streaming services were to be believed, those were the movies that people were looking up. Contagion movie, yeah. Yeah, I did read The Stand. Well, actually, scarily enough, and I think we talked about this towards the beginning of the pandemic as well. I was in the midst of reading The Stand when it jumped off. Like I was like 3/4 of the way through my, I think it's third or fourth read of The Stand in my lifetime, and I had to just stop. I was just like, okay, I'm done. You're drunk and looking up Tim Curry songs. Mm. Mm. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. Tim Curry made music. Yeah, dude, he could sing. You never seen what's it called? Rocky Horror Picture Show, man? Come on. That's a great movie. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a while. Now he's a shell of a man that he used to be. We all become that at the end. You know what I mean? That's just becoming an old man. You gotta have a little empathy. You know what I mean? Because you're on that same path. One day, some young buck gonna come along and you know talk about how you're a shadow of your former self, bro. And Tim Curry doesn't have to be anything more than a shadow of his old self. He lived big. He lived a big life, touched a lot of people, made a lot of great movies, had a fun time doing it. Few age with grace. That's true. That is very true. I remember you talking about The Stand. You mentioned a person in the story left a tip for a waitress on the table that was unknowingly laced with death. The word is actually crawling with death. Said he passed her a $1 tip that was crawling with death. Just one little sentence. That book is terrifying, especially the first half of it, where you're really like living through it, because there's certain characters that you follow through it, but then there are these little vignette chapters that tell you these short stories about people who died during it, how they died, what happened to them. Scientifically, everyone casts a shadow of oneself given the right angle of light. Okay. It happens. I understood what you meant, but I can forgive an honest typo. I know one when I see one. I guess I'm kind of like a grammar Nazi. A little bit of one. I'm not like the most hardcore guy, but I will tell you this. Like unless I know that you're like a foreign person who has English as their second language, I'm pretty much not going to listen to you if you don't know the difference between there, and there. That's the big test. That's the big grammar test for me. Like, there's a ball over there, right? Versus that is their ball versus they're going to go get that ball, right? Those three words are, if those three words are interchangeable to you, there's a good chance I'm not reading very far beyond what you write there. There, and there, man. That's just the basics, man. That's the hardest, like, basic grammar, you know? Your and your is another litmus test. That one is almost a little more forgivable, but it still sticks out like a sore thumb to me. It still makes me go, but there, and there is like, I messed up my theirs when typing fast and autocorrect changes it. Yeah. Well, that's another thing too that seems to have fallen by the wayside is like proofreading, right? Like back in the day, I'm not saying I've never been guilty of like horribly garbling a sentence or whatever, but you know, back in the day when I participated in more chat stuff, because I really don't do chat at all. I'll pop into like TJ stream and type 2 or 3 little comments or whatever, but back when I was more like liable to participate in chat and forums and stuff like that, dude, I proofread my shit. I would type out my stuff, fix it as I went along, and then I'd go back and read it, make sure everything made sense, make sure there weren't any like obvious structural problems with the sentence. And people just don't do that anymore. They just kind of like fire it off as soon as it comes out. And I think that probably just indicates like an evolution in language that I'm not ready for, maybe. Like, I'm not ready for a world where things don't matter. Because if you use the wrong there, it's not like I don't understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? And so I really think that, like, as time has gone on, those things become less important. Someone pats you on the back and says, there. Is that wrong? No, that's how you're supposed to say it. There. THERE. The others are, I wish I could remember all my English terminology. So there is a possessive.
THEIR.
Right. And then there is a contraction. They are going to the store. They are going to pick up the ball. They're blah, blah. And then there is just a noun. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like over there.
Right.
There is like a colloquialism.
Which, what is?
Like the there, it's okay.
Oh, there, yeah. No, it is. But it's definitely spelled with THERE, like the noun.
Yeah.
by far the worst of people that just comment a whole paragraph with no punctuation, like you just did. You didn't punctuate anything. But yeah, no, the lack of punctuation used to bug me a lot more than it does now. But it does make things just like really unpleasant to read a lot of times.
Well, there's just so much miscommunication and argument just from using like the wrong words and shit and
Yeah.
phrasing things in a confusing way.
I've heard from non-English or English second language speakers that English is an incredibly hard language to master. It's easier than some languages to learn basic communication in it, but if you want to be fluent in English, you have to know a bunch of just gobbledygook rules and aphorisms and non-words and
like I before E except after C except like 20 other
yeah,
words.
yeah. With the exception of like probably something like 25, 30 words, common words.
Yeah.
It's too easy to accidentally hit enter. Oh.
Is it?
It never was for me, but I guess it is for folks. Well, that's the thing. I've been watching this dude's videos. His name is Xiaoma NYC. He's this white guy. And I don't know, there's something that seems almost kind of problematic about his content because his whole thing is he's a polyglot. He's a language junkie. And so he can speak fluently a lot of weird languages that he looks like he shouldn't be able to speak. And the entirety of his content is traveling to places where those like native speakers of that language are and starting off speaking English to them. They'll go like, oh, what's this? And they struggle to answer him. And then he'll be like, he'll speak like perfect Chinese. And they get, and they're all like, wow, white guy speaks Chinese. But one of the things that I find interesting about those videos is that he often talks about, oh, this is the hardest language, or this is one of the most complex languages that I've ever had to learn. But from the perspective of people who were born speaking those languages, English is the kind of the same thing. English is not an easy thing to pick up. It's malleable enough to where you can kind of like muddle your way through it if you have a tiny vocabulary in it. But if you actually want to be a fluent English speaker, you have to, it's probably just as hard as most other languages, maybe not all other languages. From what I understand, the hardest language in the world to speak is Navajo.
Yeah.
Which is why they used Navajo code talkers in World War II, because the language was so completely and utterly alien in comparison to all other languages that they could just basically speak in Navajo to one another. And it was an uncrackable code, There's nobody that spoke it. Navajo, this guy that I was watching, he was kind of explaining what makes Navajo super complex. And one of the things is like, we have a way to say like, I hand you an object. So I handed this to you. But in Navajo, there's like 10 different ways of saying it based on the shape of the object. I'm handing you a long, thin object. I'm handing you a soft cloth object. I'm handing you a big, heavy object. I'm going to hand you this type of object. All of these things are different ways of saying, so they have some very specific stuff that doesn't really line up with how our language works. Our language is more about like,
it's so contextual,
all encompassing. You know what I mean? It's like we cover. I'm handing you a long stick. I'm handing you a big rock, which is saying, here, take this.
Yeah.
But in Navajo, you say, here, take this long stick. Here, take this heavy rock. Isn't that a dead language? I mean, there are still Navajo speakers, but yes, in terms of it spreading outside of it's basically in a few generations going to be unspoken. Probably.
Yeah, there's a ton of languages that are dying, mostly indigenous languages.
Those are some of his videos that I think freak people out the most, because he'll learn like Maya, which is like an old Mayan, it's the Mayan dialect in Mexico and Central America. spoken by only a few native people who've had it passed down regionally. And he learned it so he could go speak to people and make money off of their reaction faces.
You know what one of the hardest words is? Fuck. Like, there's so many different uses of fuck in English that can be basically, like, all the different.
Oh, yeah. Well, English is filled with those kinds of words.
Yeah.
Where, like, one word is used to contextualize, like, 20 or 30 different ideas. And so, yeah, that is a tough one to get.
But yeah, I will always think that the second person plural should always be, or third person plural should always, or yeah, no, I mean second person plural should always be y'all. It's the most clear.
Y'all is good.
Yeah.
And see, like, especially American English, well, I guess British English probably is too.
Yeah.
It's just like filled with these like little wordplay expressions that have become like part of the modern colloquial landscape, but aren't really represented, and you're not going to be taught it in English, you know.
Yeah, but it's really the most correct, honestly, or you all at the very least, because just saying you for both like a bunch of people and one person is confusing.
Yeah, that's true. Y'all is good for that.
But
Couleur. Couleur. Your fancy pants British spellings of words.
yeah. Apparently, like with that Elements episode, you were pronouncing it like the British way, the antimony.
Oh.
So you weren't wrong.
But I was. Because I'm not British. I should have said antimony. Antimony seems better for...
Yeah, but then you'd have to say like aluminium.
Aluminium. Aluminium.
Zebra.
Zed. Zebra. Parla usted inglés. It's parlay usted inglés. I won't give you money. Stop begging, sir. Huh? Nobody begging. American English is carrying the torch for standard English these days. All hail the empire. I mean, we basically took standard English, the Queen's English, and made it into the coolest language. The language everybody wants to speak because it's just the coolest. Our rappers sound the best. And our heavy use of metaphor in our language allows for colorful rap songs, you know what I mean? American English, yes, I agree, is the best language. We should make it the universal standard language.
It almost is at this point, like in terms of science and business.
It's very close. It just needs to be declared. English is the universal standard language that everybody's taught. You can learn like your regional dialect as well. Especially children are really adept at learning multiple languages. Like if you want to raise a polyglot, teach your kid like 2 or 3 languages as they're growing up. They got like a brain that just soaks it up.
Yeah, it's crazy like just how easy it is to immigrate to so many countries just by simply being willing to be an English teacher.
Oh yeah, for sure. English simplified is the American English. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's necessarily simplified. I actually think American English is more complex than British English. Y'all is an example of that, right? Like we've been able to like invent some new ways of using the language that add complexity but also add utility to it. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd agree that standard English is more like complex. I really don't think it is. I guess if you just stick to the dictionary words, maybe it is, but we have yous instead of you all. Yeah. Well, yous is very New Jersey and works well there, but everywhere else, I think y'all has kind of won. You say yous outside of New Jersey, and everybody just immediately thinks of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Think about language as a natural banana. Humans perfected it, just like we have perfected the Queen's English. Sure. I am human, heart. Well, use your human intellect to go get a profile pic. Come back when you got one.
Why'd you step on my toe?
Language is kind of like verbal DNA. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell a whole lot about a person by listening to them talk. If you study languages and dialects and stuff, you can really like tell a whole lot about a person by how they speak. But that also opens you up to a lot of manipulation too, because people can learn those different regional dialects and appear to be something they aren't. Often do.
Why can't you just settle?
Settle down and lay down and be comfy. You got the comfiest life.
You just never want to be comfy.
We give you the comfiest life and you just never are comfy.
Yeah, you guys don't understand how much power Dinor has. We have to have 2 blankets on the bed because of Dinor.
Yep. Dinor makes it impossible to, unless you had this insanely huge blanket. I guess we could get one of those like giant room-filling blankets or something, and we might be able to get away with having one blanket. But Dinor is a nightmare with blankets. He will rip them off of you in the middle of the night. He will lay down in the middle of you and pull them off of you because you're sharing one between the two of you. So yeah, we've got a double blanket syndrome going on just for you, just because of you. Now, you know. You know.
What else do we do just for Dinor?
Believe that Dinor's Einstein reincarnated? Well, I don't think so. I've seen Dinor do some very distinctly non-Einstein things. Come on.
Oh.
You think about bringing the squawk ball out there? Want to try it? Come on. You think about the squawk ball? Want to try it? You seem interested in it. Get it. Get that squawk ball. Get it. Get it. Take it to you. Does it scare you? It's just He don't know. He don't know how to feel. He don't know what's what about that ball, huh?
The same thing happened with Cricket. You were so sweet getting him a very special toy, and
He was terrified of it, yeah. That tool, what is that thing called?
It's called
I can show it to you.
Wobble Wag Giggle.
Wobble, wag, giggle. You want it? Want to chase it? Get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it.
Kick it.
Kick it. Bring it here. He kind of likes it. Maybe you will like it. Sounds like a demon. Doesn't sound like a demon. What kind of demon have you heard, man?
It's supposed to sound like laughter.
Yeah, it's supposed to sound like people giggling. Get it. Get that ball. Get that ball. Get it.
There you go.
Get it.
Get it.
Get that ball.
Kicked it. Hey, that's the most engaged he's been with it, so.
Kick that ball. Get it. See, he likes it. Mm-hmm. You like it? You think that's a fun toy? All right. Go get it. Go get your ball. Not that ball. That noise, yeah.
Bring it.
We got my 3-month-old son a monkey bouncy chair, and he's terrified of it. Yeah, I mean, you never can tell, man.
Yeah, with children, it's probably best to keep it simple.
I mean, who knows, though? Like, some kids love everything.
Yeah.
Some kids are more skittish and stuff. I guess you just gotta know your kid.
Yeah.
Got a skittish kid, don't get him any adventurous stuff, you know? Stick to the coloring books. You got a sensitive kid on your hands. You get a kid, then you get them one of those crazy slingshot things, and they're bouncing at it all day and happy. You know, you're clear. Get them whatever you want.
But yeah, fuck those like talking toys.
Man,
like the horse goes moo.
I hate those toys. I want to punch those toys. The ones that just like play incessant music too. Dee 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 dee. Ugh, shut up. I'm Teddy Ruxpin. I had a Teddy Ruxpin. I hated it. I was terrified of my Teddy Ruxpin.
Not your speak and spell, though, which arguably sounds creepier.
Yep. True. Paul had to deal with that shit for years and doesn't even have a kid. I know. I know. Speaking of kids, I just got mine to fall asleep so I could listen to this outside, but the wind caught the screen door and woke her up. Ha ha.
If you have a kid, you just have to give up on having fun.
Yep. You can have fun in bursts while they're sleeping or distracted momentarily, but you need to learn to have fun by letting them have fun. Yeah, I I used to have a lot more patience for kids, and I have very little patience for kids anymore. I'm not a fan of dealing with other people's kids. I've started to see like kind of the social manipulation that goes into raising children. And I just see it too many times, man. People will bring their kids, right, to a get together and then just ignore them. It's like everybody else's job to make sure that they're not getting into things and not doing stuff. It's like a break for them. It's like an excuse to have everybody else care about their kids for an hour so that they can run around. It's just like,
Yeah, and then of course their kids don't listen to you.
no, of course they don't. Why would they? They don't listen to anybody anyway. They hardly listen to their parents. My last job was daycare, and it was absolutely hellish. I can imagine.
Yeah. Daycare workers deserve like $25 an hour, I think.
The ones that are good, they're shitty ones.
Yeah.
They're ones that are shitty to kids. They don't deserve nothing. But yeah, a good dedicated daycare worker is hard to beat. Put your kid on a leash in the yard. See, my parents used to just turn us loose, but that's the world, even though it's gotten safer for kids, is apparently too scary to do that in now. But our parents like used to just like, when I got a certain age especially, just cut you loose. Like, hey, don't go out of this little area, but you can ride your bike wherever, go play with your friends. I don't want to see you.
But there was also spanking was more socially acceptable, so you had a bigger stick to fear.
That is true. That is true.
Sometimes a literal stick.
Yep. I remember there were days where like I wanted to be like cooped up in the house or whatever. I'd be playing Nintendo, and my parents would straight up kick me. They'd be like, "Nope, we're gonna watch something on the TV. You get your ass out. You go play in your, neighborhood. Go grab your bike. Go grab your skateboard. Go do stuff." And that was all. It was never a punishment for me. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Doodly 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 dood.
Oh, dude, that reminds me of TJ's story where he was locked out of the house.
The ultimate punishment. TJ. Man. TJ, he just has some stories that are just crazy, man. He's a dude that, like, there's no other way he could have gone through life other than the one he chose. I cannot even fucking imagine TJ working a normal job. Can't even imagine it. And it has nothing to do with him being too lazy or incapable to do it. It's just he is not wired that way, dude. TJ will get caught in these, like he tells this story about one time where he got, he dumped the pancakes in that dude's lap and got fired on his first day at work at IHOP or whatever. And that's funny to me, but what's funny to me is what comes after that. Because after that, instead of just like figuring something out, like calling somebody or getting on a bus, like, hey, let me figure out what the bus schedule is around here and I'll get on the bus. He like literally sat in the parking lot of the IHOP he was fired from for 8.5 hours waiting for his girlfriend to come pick him up. That part that's the key part to me. That's like TJ out in the wild, left to his own devices. Pretty soon he's in trouble, man. He's got to have like an anchor point. Because when he doesn't, he just kind of drifts. Dude, I can't imagine sitting in a parking lot for 8 hours. We're just waiting on a ride. Never.
Maybe he didn't have a key without his girlfriend.
But still, though, like, so the girlfriend's at work. So you take a taxi or you take a bus or you walk to her work or something. In 8 hours, you probably could have walked to her work in 3 or 4 and gotten the key. And then get the car and drive yourself home and go pick her up. There's a billion different like things that you could think of to do with 8 hours other than like, I'm just going to sit here and wait for my girlfriend to come pick me up. Yeah, you could walk around and like go find a coffee shop and buy a 20-cent cup of coffee, you know what I mean? And sit there and nurse it all day. Like at the very least. A place that's got like a basket with some old magazines
Go
or
wander around a store or something.
yeah, yeah. Anything other than just like the way he tells it, he just like planted himself in the parking lot and sat there for 8 hours. How old was he? He had to be in his like early 20s, like late teens, early 20s, something like that. He was meditating in a parking lot. He just sat there and like sucked exhaust fumes for 8 hours in a parking lot. You know what I mean? He didn't even go like find a park to sit in. You know, there was probably like a couple of miles away. He could have had a casual stroll to a nice little park, sit on the bench in there.
He has this patience for sitting still that most people don't have, I think.
Well, see, the thing is, he doesn't though. Like TJ can't sit still for a second. You watch him on the show.
Yeah. But when it's like,
But like
the alternative to doing anything, then
this is like the difference is like he can't sit still. He's very distractible, but he's also not good at like problem solving sometimes. Like he's good at problem solving in a lot of ways, but when it comes to like basic shit like I don't have a ride and I'm stuck in a parking lot, what do? You know what I mean? His answer is typically like plant yourself like a tree and just sit there for 8 fucking hours and wait for somebody to pick you up. I can't even imagine that.
maybe it was a defiance thing. Like, he wanted to stare down the people that fired them on their brakes and shit.
I guess I could understand that, but he's never mentioned that. He said he walked like around back of the parking lot and like sat on the curb where there were some like bushes. So it wasn't like he was like sitting all ominously out in front, staring people down. He was just like huddled up in the back corner of the parking lot, waiting for somebody to come get him. I don't think most people would have sat there for 8 hours, dude. Scotty, no. Scotty would have gotten on the phone, found somebody to give him a ride.
Or just walked.
Or just walked somewhere that's like not a curb with cars blowing exhaust in your face for 8 hours. You know what I mean? Like go sit in a coffee shop or go sit in a park or find a bench or something. I really don't. You know, TJ is definitely a unique character for sure. Never quite met somebody like TJ. I don't really have many people to compare TJ to in my long list of friendships and acquaintances and coworkers and stuff. I really don't. There's not a TJ.
Yeah. Like, even Stevie would probably do something other than just sit there.
I think that may be right, but I think that may be incorrect. I think that Stevie has a lot of that same thing. And I know Stevie way less, you know, well than I know. I just spent less time with TJ, but I've known Stevie for a long time. We've had some long talks. I know him. He's a good friend of mine. And I really do think that it's possible that Stevie would just kind of, it's almost like a freeze up mechanic.
Yeah.
It's like well, I'm supposed to be here to be picked up in 8 hours, so I had better just be here no matter what. Rather than like, well, fuck that. I'm going to go down here to the park and I'll call my girlfriend and let her know to come pick me up there, or I'll get a taxi, or I'll do whatever. Yeah. You know, that just never, you know, those types of things add complexity to the situation.
I could understand being like directionally challenged too. Like there's some times where I did want to take initiative and I fucked up royally and walked like 2 miles in the wrong direction.
I mean, sure, yeah, I'm definitely directionally challenged, but in that case, it doesn't really matter. If you walk 2 miles in the wrong direction and find a coffee shop or a park, then you win. You know, you found something to do other than sitting and sucking carbon monoxide all day. That is classic ADHD, all or nothing response. See, I don't really fully understand ADHD all that much. And so I really can't comment on it. I don't know that I had a whole lot of experience with it personally. And so TJ may be, you know, one of the only examples in my life of somebody that suffers from that. And so I really don't know what's a symptom of it, what isn't. I would think that like my conception of ADHD as somebody who doesn't suffer from it would make me think that like it would make you like restless to go do more things, and you would get distracted and go do this, and it would make more sense to me if TJ had that happen to him and then ended up lost in the city and nobody knew where he was. You know what I mean? Because he just kind of went out and did his own thing. That to me sounds like TJ, but like this other thing doesn't. TJ just like, well, I'm gonna just plop here because TJ is typically like he's a creature of habit, and he's very into creature comforts. And TJ is not a dude that likes to be like uncomfortable sitting in an office, or you know what I mean, like wasting his time driving a long ass way across town or something. He'd rather just be at home. And so that is what weirds me out about it. It's like,
Maybe that fucking pancake delivery just took every last ounce of his energy.
Maybe so. ADHD has a lot of overlap with autism and other disorders, which lead to the same kind of dysfunction and symptoms you're talking about. Yeah, see, like I said, I have a pretty significant gap of my knowledge because I've dealt with certain aspects of mental illness a lot, but never really ADHD. ADHD lets you zone out on almost immediately into your own head. I guess that makes sense. But that's those things are part of what makes TJ such a character. Because there are times when TJ is like ultra decisive, almost to a fault. You know what I mean? Where he's just like, we're doing this now. Let's go. We're doing it now. We're just gonna do it. Fuck it. Let's go. Go, 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 go. And then there are times where TJ is almost like frozen.
TJ in planes too. He's not good at planes.
Most people, I mean, a lot of people aren't. I'm not great at planes either.
But getting on a plane is.
Yeah. I mean, like that. TJ doesn't really function on any kind of schedule very well. Like it took us, and it wasn't just TJ. All three of us have our own particular issues with it. But it took us about a year to codify a repeatable schedule that will keep us stocked up on shows and keep us delivering all the things that we've promised to people and yada yada yada. And even with that, it's a constant struggle to stay on it because I think in particular TJ and Scotty, just schedules are not their forte. They're pretty much not mine either, but I was forced into making them my forte when I worked 16 years at a job where you had to log your hours and your minutes and your seconds and shit. Like, you get used to it, but scheduling and stuff, so that does make air travel with TJ. One thing that I learned early on, because I traveled a lot with TJ during BP and all the way up until recently, one of the things I learned was like, do not go with TJ. Do not make him part of your group. Let him handle his own shit, because you'll go nuts. like the last few times that I was traveling on the same day, maybe even on the same flight with TJ, dude, I was at the airport like an hour before he got there. And it's just the way it is, man. Because there are some times where TJ is just gonna squeak in, and sometimes he just misses a flight altogether. I remember coming home from Ohio. I've told this one before, but it's getting like, I don't remember when my flight was. It was at like 3 or something. And I'm sitting at TJ's house at like 10, 11 in the morning. And I'm like, all right, it's probably about time we get going. And TJ's like, yeah, you know what? We'll grab a bite to eat and then we'll get you down there. And I was like, all right. I mean, yeah, we probably got time. We stopped to eat and got in a long ass conversation over the food, so probably took us way longer than it should have to eat. But we were still fine. Then we got on the road and it was traffic jam all the way to the airport, and I ended up missing a flight because I didn't just get an Uber to the airport at 11 a.m. like I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was planning on doing. Did you say TJ's a procrastinator? I mean, I don't know. No more so than I am. No more so than I think anybody is. I mean, procrastination is most people's favorite pastime, whether they admit it or not. Why do today what you can put off till tomorrow?
Laziness takes a certain amount of effort too.
No, it is true. Like, you actually have to put yourself through shit to be lazy.
Mhm.
Like, it'd be easier not to be lazy a lot of times. So it takes commitment. What is today? But yesterday is tomorrow. Yes, true. But what is tomorrow? But today's yesterday. Hmm? Wait a minute. I don't think that made sense.
I mean, yeah, if you procrastinate for 2 days, then tomorrow is...
Today's yesterday. Yeah, we can't go down this road. You're gonna burn my brain out thinking about today's yesterday, dude. I don't know what today's yesterday is, man. What's tomorrow's today? Is tomorrow today or is today tomorrow? Oh, dude, is this the real matinee? Are you the real? Is it the real deal, Mr. Keen? Mean Gene Keen is back, dude, or is that just a troll?
What would only Brett Keane know?
Yeah, I could test him. I mean, it's so much of that happened in public. What would only Brett Keane know? How could I test? I guess somebody you could just click on his thing because they brought that back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you can click on it.
Yeah.
Somebody click on that and see if that's Brett Keane or just a trolley woolly, just a roly poly trolley. Trolley poly. Well, I banned you several times, Brett. If indeed you are Brett, and you've come back, so you have left at a certain point. It won't let us do that. What? I thought you guys could click on names now. Maybe I can. Bloop. Report remove. Blah blah blah. Nope. I guess not. I thought I'd heard. Anyway, I'll be right back. I gotta pee. You want to get that ball? Go get that big ball. You're supposed to be able to play with that by yourself. That's the one you can fetch yourself because you could just push it around and make it wobble. But I'll throw that one if you won't. Give it. Gotta pick it up and give it. All right. Brats, dude. Troll, yeah. I mean, it's kind of what I think as well, but who knows? Well, you used to be able to click on somebody, like if you made a comment, I could click on you and it would take, it would stop my stream for a second, like pause it, but I could go to your channel, like verify, like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Brett Keane, or I'm talking to Vosh, I'm talking to TJ. And then they removed that ability, and I'd heard that had come back, but I guess not, because I heard wrong. What a stupid thing to remove. Who'd want to impersonate Brett? Plenty of people. There are plenty of people that would do it just to get me to talk about Brett. I wouldn't have a problem like having Brett be in the chat. He seems to be being respectful and whatnot. So I'm not going to ban him unless he gets stupid. It's been long enough. I haven't watched a Brett Keane video. I don't even know how long it's been, man. I haven't checked in. I'm a retired Keanologist, so I passed that torch to the younger generation a long time ago. Did you hear about LA spending $2 million to clear out Echo Park so they can get a shot of the city for the Super Bowl? Take a left on Echo Park, a kid asked, do I want some crack? TV sets are spewing Baywatch through the windows into black. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. He's active on YouTube again. Well, it's good to know at the very least that some things they never change. When you're sitting on the back porch, half unconscious from the pain, and it may seem rearranged, but in the backwater swirling, there are some things that have never changed. I don't know if you're on the gaming topic, but Elden Ring looks like it gets over the depressing color palette hurdle. Little bits that I haven't really watched much about it, but the little bits of gameplay that I've seen did look more colorful and stuff than the old. It still kind of has that drab, grimdark fantasy look about it, but some of the like different attacks and stuff looks like they have some color to them, and maybe some of the armor sets look a little more shiny and colorful and cool, and not so dingy and dull and drab. So maybe I'm willing to check it out. Maybe I probably won't grab it right away. I'm playing too many games right now, man. I had too many video games to pick between. As much as I was down on myself about it, I'm still kind of like playing a little bit of Lost Ark, because I figure, I can play that game as casually as I want. I'm not this type of person that has to be at the end game or whatever. And I've actually gotten a little better at controlling the game. I looked into some guides and stuff, and it turns out I was using a lot of skills that were not great. Like a lot of the skills on my bar for the characters I was playing were ones that exposed me for long animations, which is why I was getting hit and killed a lot. And so I swapped those out and put them in a configuration that I can use them when there's time to use them, but I have these faster skills, and I've gotten a little better with it. And that's definitely a cool game that you don't have to play super duper hard. You can just kind of progress at your own pace. I've got a few little alts that I like playing and stuff, and so I've been playing that. I'm playing this Vampire Survivors game, which is a really like totally opposite game. Lost Ark is this really complex MMO ARPG kind of game, and Vampire Survivors is a very old school 8-bit bullet hell in reverse kind of game. So been playing those two games, and then every once in a while when I get in the mood, I play some Mechanicus. I still haven't beaten it, so I need to finish up my Mechanicus run, but I like that game a lot. I just burned myself out on it a little bit, so I'm taking a break. Amelia's about to finish up Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Get into the nitty gritty titty on it.
Yeah.
Taking you like what? How long do you think you've been
I mean,
playing?
I'm about
6
the
months?
same pace that you were. I didn't play it as like in as big chunks as you did.
Right.
My save is about like 110 hours, and your final save when you were like 4 levels ahead of me was like 132.
That makes sense.
We're about the same pace playing. It's just
different chunks.
Yeah. That and I'm playing the warrior build, so
Yeah.
I'm doing it very differently than you did to get
That's
to
true.
the same place. Dude, that is the most OP builds, is the fucking arena armor and the Minotaur axe.
Yeah. Y'all know that tomorrow is going to have the most 2s in it than any date ever, and will have the most until the year 2222. Yeah, I guess so, huh? Because tomorrow's going to be 2022. Wow, that's a lot of 2s. That is kind of crazy.
I mean, wouldn't December 22nd have the same amount of 2s?
December 22nd?
Yeah, because that'd be 12/22/2022. There would just be a 1.
There's 1 less 2.
No, it's not. Because February only has 1 2,
Oh,
and 12 only has 1
I guess
2.
you're right, yeah.
So, chat lied.
Chat, that's a lie. 12, it's going to have the exact same amount of 2s, you're right. Because it just has an extra number. So 2020 is going to have just so many 2s. And it's Tuesday. Oh, that is an extra 2. Tuesday. Amelia, too smart for you, dude. She figured it out. Figured it out.
Very pattern oriented.
Yeah, you are good at picking that stuff out. I think it makes you a good movie watcher, too.
Yeah. What was that one movie where I like called the twist like 10 minutes in? Oh yeah, that was like the one with Nicolas Cage, and like they were betting on a fight.
Snake Eyes, yeah.
We couldn't even finish it because I already called it like 10 minutes.
Yeah, dude. Like 10 minutes into that movie, you already had the whole movie laid out. I was like, whoa. All right. Well. Dude, tomorrow's going to be a horrible day for TJ. Doesn't he hate 2s? He hates 2s and he likes 3s. And he hates 4s. So tomorrow, dude, TJ might not even fucking come out of his house. Might not even get out of bed.
Then he'd have to do a solo grease trap.
Yep.
Which you've done before, I think.
Yeah. It's happened. T-Day. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Do you still watch WWE? No. I haven't watched wrestling since I was in my late teens. Like I've seen a match here and there, but I have not gone out of my way to watch any wrestling since my late teens. Once the Attitude Era was over, I was pretty much uninterested. It just became all the character went out of it.
just soap opera, or is it not even soap opera level anymore?
It used to be kind of like an edgy soap opera, which is what drew you to it. Like the matches were one thing, but like there was all this like storyline, and they were edgy about it too. They would do like I remember during the first Gulf War, they had the Iron Sheik, who was, I mean, he's Iranian by birth, but whatever. They made him into like the Iraqi general or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had this other guy, Sergeant Slaughter, who was this American drill sergeant character.
Yeah.
And they made tons of hay out of that, because he would come out waving the Iraqi flag and everybody would boo, 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 and then Sergeant Slaughter would come in waving the American flag. And they used to not like shy away from talking about global issues and political issues and stuff like that. They used to kind of like poke fun at all of that, gender issues and LGBT, maybe not in the most flattering way, but they were just kind of like fearless when it came to the types of characters they would try. And then it all just kind of like became very sanitized, and it started focusing way more on the matches and less on the storylines. And it just became kind of like oiled up muscle guy versus oiled up muscle guy. Who's going to win? There were no interesting weirdos anymore. See, I was always a fan of the weirdos. I never really liked the faces all that much, the good guys. Like whatever. I was a little kid. I was a Hulk Hogan fan. Everybody was. But, I liked the Rowdy Roddy Piper, like the outsider type of guys. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, George the Animal Steel. These are some old dudes here, but I always liked the kind of different wrestlers. I was never into the big guys that they were trying to get over. I was never into Stone Cold during the Attitude Era. I always hated his ass. I was into like Gold Dust and shit, I liked the weirdos. Mankind. I used to love watching the Natural Disasters tag team. Just Hurricane and Typhoon. Just these two big fat guys. But it just seems like a lot of that has been just taken completely out of it. Why did I hate Stone Cold? Because he's just a dumb redneck. Hated his like beer swilling fucking bullshit. I wanted to see him get his ass beat. And I got to a few times. He didn't win every match, He was just like a boring beer swilling idiot. But yeah, I remember there was like a betrayal. Sergeant Slaughter at one point joined. He disappeared for a while, and then he came back and he like joined the Iraqi side or whatever. He like joined up with the Iron Sheik. It was like a big anime betrayal, man. Everybody felt all betrayed, but it like whipped up a bunch of like good heat or whatever as they call it. Kept people interested. Yeah, I did the Hail Hydra move and joined the bad guys for a while. Yeah, I liked the weirdos and the kind of crazy wrestlers. There's Bam Bam Bigelow, who was just this, kind of fat guy with flame tattoos on his bald head. He'd come out and wrestle. Those were all my favorite dudes. I liked the bad guys, and I liked, the weirdos, the kind of guys that were unaffiliated. The Iron Sheik. I don't know if that would go over well. Nope, never watched any other type of wrestling, so. Never watched any other brand of wrestling, I should say. Rob Van Dam, no. Yeah, Rowdy Roddy was my favorite when I was a kid. I had a Hot Rod t-shirt. I wanted a kilt. I definitely wanted a kilt, man. I needed a kilt. Yeah, that probably would not do wonders for people's misconceptions that Sikhs are Muslims. remember Sikhs got like, I mean, anybody that was mistreating somebody because they had Middle Eastern heritage after 9/11 was a piece of shit. But I'm telling you, like, Sikhs got it so bad, and they're not even Muslim. I think people are so ignorant. They just saw like a olive-skinned person with a turban or whatever and assumed that they were looking at a, like, their conceptualization of what an Arab is like, Jafar or whatever from Aladdin. Like, they don't even know that, like, most Muslims don't even wear turbans. Like, some do, but the turban is a way more Indian regional kind of fashion.
Where'd you go in, Mr. Sweepy Pants?
I remember people pulling Indian taxi drivers out of taxis during 9/11, even though, yeah, I mean, anybody that was like brown and not vaguely Hispanic was getting fucked with. And even some Hispanic people were getting fucked with and shit. This is ridiculous. This country's a bunch of morons. A hateful bunch of people. And it's not like that's the only example you have of this, like, super anti-immigrant mentality. World War II, we just basically brutalized the Japanese, stole them out of their homes, and put them in concentration camps. While we were fighting the very idea of concentration camps. That's ridiculous. Yep, Asian hate crimes go through the roof because of COVID. Yep. Yeah, I wonder if there's any, like, blowback against Russian people. I wonder if, like, Ruskies are getting it because of all the, saber rattling against Russia that's going on right now. They're white, though. That is true. They are white folk. Caucasian passing folk. They probably won't catch as much hell. Russian cabbies in LA get shit on. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't know. I've never had a Russian cabbie in LA. Thankful for cool white people like you. Appreciate you, bro. I'm not even being cool. I'm just being normal. You got a lot of abnormal people out there. A lot of people that got a lot of pent-up anger, and they find outlets for it that are incredibly unhealthy, like looking at their fellow man and seeing minor cosmetic differences in the way that they look and thinking that that's the center of all their angst and anguish and pain. And that really is the sadness of racism. It's a group of people that have been fundamentally abused by the state, by the local, state, and national governments, used as cannon fodder in war, stripped of their working rights. And it's unfortunate that people that are desperate oftentimes will channel that rage towards another group of human beings rather than, at the source of it, the billionaire class, the owner class, and the political elite that do their bidding. Yeah. Or I lost my job, so let me hate Mexican people because they're stealing our jobs, right? It just makes no sense to me. But it's such a common thing for people. And I'm telling you, dude, within minority communities, there is a huge amount of racism. I know this firsthand growing up around a lot of Hispanic people. Um, let's just say that like anti-black racism is not exclusive to white people, and we'll leave it there. And so even within these minority communities, it's not just a one-way street, man. There's all this kind of like infighting and gross misconceptions about people based on race. And once again, it's based on the same thing. The pain of not being able to take care of yourself and your family, the pain of being at the whim of the state, the pain of losing a job you worked hard for, the pain of feeling like you've been disenfranchised in your own town. And so you see this kind of pain-based response in a lot of people, and it's pretty sad, honestly, at the end of the day, because it leaves a lot of people ignorant. It leaves a lot of people unable to really dig to the root of what their problems are. Gives them a boogeyman to hate. Power structures around the world want it to be that way. It makes it easier for them to stay in charge. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, it's a part of the white billionaires' psyop to divide the working class along racial lines instead of hate them for the racism and colonialism they use to oppress the black working class. I mean, there's a whole lot to unpack in that statement. And I don't think it's just the black working class that they're looking to oppress. I think they're looking to oppress the entirety of the working class, which is at the root of the idea of the solidarity movement, and this idea that within those kind of union confines, contact theory can do its work, and people that may have preconceptions about black people or brown people or gay people or trans people may be put into an environment where they're bargaining for the benefit of those people, and those people are bargaining for the benefit of themselves, and they may be exposed to those people in a way that makes them question those preconceived notions. That really is the only thing that you can do. You look at, if you want it, like, a lot of people will tell you, like, you're not going to change somebody's mind. So at a certain point, arguing is just pointless, right? Well, I may agree with that, and we've talked about him here before, but, what is his name? Daryl Davis. You want to talk about the only person that I've ever met that can claim to have deconverted racists, like hard racists. And he didn't do it by badgering them. He didn't do it by protesting them. He didn't do it by otherizing them. He didn't do it by insulting them. He did it by sitting and listening to them and showing by example that black people weren't what they were trying to paint them as. He presented them with a conversation rather than a confrontation. And through exposure to him, He's got some like what 50 clan robes or some shit that people just gave him because they're like, look, I'm done with this shit. Like that. There's the answer. The answer is contact theory. 100%. That's the answer. That's how you beat racism. You don't argue racism away. You don't badger it away. You don't ostracize it away because it just grows in those kind of confrontational environments. You have to be willing to sit down and do the work and break down the preconceived notions and make them silly. And you're not going to get everybody. Daryl Davis didn't get everybody he talked to, but he got way more people than anybody I've ever heard of. Fred Hampton, yeah, another example of a black guy who would engage with white racists in a way that wasn't immediately confrontational and did a lot of good work in deconverting racists. Yeah, absolutely. Aren't the whitest states in America the least racist? Huh? I mean, I'm not sure. You'd have to show me a chart or something. I'm not sure. I can understand. I don't even really know how you measure that, to be honest with you, because people aren't going to self-report racism usually. But in the process of trying to talk to racist, Daryl Davis faced violence and abuse from some of the old white racists he worked with, but he did deconvert a lot. Yes. Yeah, he put himself in dangerous positions. Absolutely. Yeah. He put himself in personal danger. He put his credibility and his bodily integrity on the line to do it. I didn't say it was an easy thing to do. You know, if I was trying to sell you an easy way to do it, I'd be selling you like some kind of conversational trick you can use or something. It's contact theory. Deliberate contact theory. And I really think that that happens naturally in the labor environment. Well, I mean, like, you could track things like racist hate crimes, but the prosecution of those is spotty. And a lot of these would rely on self-reporting, and we know for a fucking fact that self-reporting is a joke. It might give you a general idea, but most people who are racist aren't going to answer a questionnaire and reveal that they're racist. That's another thing about racists, is that all of them know that it's wrong, so they hide it. You know what I mean? They whisper it. Most of them don't wear it on their sleeve in public unless they've got a bunch of other people with them. You know, so they know. It's just a matter of being. Yeah, I mean, there is none. There's no 10 easy steps. There's the step of setting up environments or, you know, giving yourself over to the cause as a person that's willing to put themselves on the line to go and talk to these people and be around them and have conversations with them. Or you can advocate for the setting up of more environments where that is not only allowed but encouraged, like labor environments. But these types of ideas will get you labeled like, what's the new thing, like a red brown alliance fash or some shit. The idea that maybe like talking to people on the right wing like they're human beings and engaging them in mutually beneficial political activity like unionization might lead to winning them over to your way of thinking, or at least de-radicalizing some of their more, you know, dangerous and racist proclivities. Like, come on. That coupled with a more intensified focus on local organizations and people improving their local piece of land, their local city, and stopping this idea that every individual has some part to play in the international chess game. Really focusing all of that wasted, in my opinion, energy, cheerleading and pom-pomming for rapists, whichever flavor you like. I think you'd be better off making your local area a little better. Get together with a group of citizens, set up a citizens committee that is dedicated to cleaning up the park, and work with the city to provide some time where you can go in and paint over some graffiti, pick up some trash. Do you know how much good you will do in your community if you and 10 other citizens commit yourself to keeping the park clean? Cleaning up garbage and making it a nice place for people to go and escape from the rigors of their fucking day-to-day life. That alone will be more impactful on more lives than any vote you ever cast. Right there. And that's just the truth. You do the same thing for like a watershed, like some piece of neglected public land. Go down to the beach, pick up all the crap that washes up out of the ocean because the ocean's filled with trash, clean up those beaches. I don't want to talk about Vosh today. Let's just not. You want to hear a whole Vosh talk? Yesterday I talked about a Vosh video that was just unconscionably stupid, in my opinion. We're not talking about Vosh. We're talking about simple direct action, community involvement, the reestablishment of the idea of neighbors. See, one of the things that has happened is people are no longer buying homes, they're renting. And these rental, people are transient. It's like, why would I bother getting to know my neighbors when I know I'm probably not going to be here in a year and a half? That's tough. Like, how do you establish community when so many people live that way? I don't know. I think you have to focus on the city that you're in. If you're moving within the city or the state or the county or whatever, you're moving around to different places, but you're kind of in the same geographical area. I don't know. Capitalism has alienated the concept of neighbors and community. Yes. Deliberately and by design, by the way. Not just accidentally, not as a byproduct of normal capitalist action. There's been a functional takeover when it comes to people's ability to establish communities. Because what is a community but pretty strong if all the individuals are looking out for one another? We don't want that. We want fuck you got mine. That's the way. That's how you keep people disconnected. We want to funnel all that passion that they normally might funnel into a civic project in their local area into this dog and pony show we call electoralism, where they just vote for oligarchs to replace the ones that are already sitting there, and nothing ever changes for the good. And they have to watch the absolutely glacial creep of any kind of social progress, and at the expense of regression economically. You just bent over a barrel. You know what I mean? You're given good feelings, but no solid ground to stand on. Do you think you'll ever delete 10 years worth of these videos if you ever decide to stop? No. This is out there, unless YouTube gets rid of it or whatever, like bans the channel or whatever, which is a total fucking possibility because, I talk about things that actually affect people, and that's a no-no. They would rather I was doing like teddy bear reviews. Like if I was playing the game that YouTube wanted me to be playing, I'd be sitting out here with you guys doing tech reviews or something. Here's the new phone. Here's the new toy. Here's the new video game. Here's a funny stunt that me and my friends did. Whoa. But honestly, I don't know what it is we're doing a lot of the days. We just kind of have a rambling conversation. Anyway, this is the end of this one. Thank you guys for chilling. See you next time.